Hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to be showing you part of my medical transition. I take hormones in order to be the person who I am, and I'm going to be injecting estradiol valerate in oil. And because estrogen therapy was so effective at reducing my testosterone down to just about nothing, I supplement with testosterone gel, which I will be administering after I do my injection. So a couple of things to note before I start this video. If you take medication, any kind of medication, follow your doctor's instructions. What I'm showing you right now is how I do it. In taking medication, especially if it's injected, there are risks to it. So make sure you follow exactly how your doctor instructs it. This video is not medical advice. So also, because I'm going to be injecting, if you are at all squeamish about watching a needle go into someone's leg, I advise you not to watch the next section of this video. I'm going to put the time index in the comments so you can skip over to the next part after the injection. So I'm going to adjust the camera and then I'll get started. The last time I injected into my left leg. So tonight I'm going to be injecting into my right leg. I always alternate back and forth one to the other. Some medications have more of a cycle where you go to different body parts. This is my cycle. I take a cotton swab and I flex my leg to make sure I know exactly where I'm injecting, right into the big muscle, and I swab the area to make sure that it is free of anything that might be on the surface, and I swab the top of the estradiol vial. Now the guidelines, there are published guidelines for injecting that suggest that you use a second separate cotton swab to swab the top of the vial. If that's the guidelines you're following, that's how you do it. If I take shortcuts, they're not necessarily your shortcuts. You do what your doctor says. Next, I get out my disposable syringe and a 23 gauge needle, which I put on the end there. Take the cap off. Oh, I did not bring my sharps container into the living room with me, so I'm going to do something very bad and put the needle down after I'm done using it. And this is where, if you are squeamish about needles, stop watching now and move on to the next time index that I'll put in the description. So before I draw the medication out, I retract the plunger back, make sure it's loose, retract the plunger back to the 5.5 milliliter mark, and I put the needle into the vial, inject the air that's in there, and then I draw back. And the reason that we use a 23 gauge to draw is because it's oil, so it's thick. And if I used a 25 gauge, I would be here all night drawing it out. I've done that, and it's a long, painful process. And you can't just pull. You have to wait for the vacuum that you create in the vial to catch up as you pull back the plunger. If this takes too long, I might even cut out some of this video. But here we go. I bring it right back to the 0.5 milligram part, and I push just enough to release the air that followed it in. Take the vial off, and now I have 0.3 milligrams, 0.3 milliliters, sorry. It's oil, so it's a little less than 0.3 milligrams, but this isn't a chemistry lesson. Now, this is the point where most people would switch from a 23 gauge to a 25 gauge needle to inject because the 23 is bigger. It hurts a little more, but you know what? I'm from Manitoba. Our mosquitoes are the size of horses. This isn't quite so bad. So once again, if you're still watching, if you're squeamish with needles, now is the time to stop and then skip to the next time index because I am about to inject. I take my needle, find where I've identified on my thigh. I stretch the skin just enough to make like a Z track. If you're in medical world, you'll know what that is. And there's a little drop of fluid right on the end of the syringe showing that I have no air in it, although a teeny tiny bubble for an intramuscular injection is not a big deal. So I stretch the skin and then I go boop, push it in, depress the plunger until it's right to the end, pull it out and release the skin. Now you'll see there's not even a drop of blood that's coming out of there. And now I am recapping the syringe. This is the part that I do not normally do like this because I'm putting the syringe down. I'll put it in my sharps container when I go back to my other room. Then I do there is a little tiny spot. That's usually all I get is just this little tiny red spot, which you can barely even see. And just swab that off. And yeah, I think I am going to put a Band-Aid on it just so that I don't get any little spot of redness on my shorts. And there we go. That was my intramuscular injection. My hormones are in. I'm good for another 5 days. And it's time to do my other hormones. So my estrogen is every 5 days. My T-gel is every 4 days. It's not always on the same day. It just happened to be like that today. I use the other leg. You can inject. You can rub this on abdomen. You can do it on your thighs. Whatever your doctor says for how you are supposed to administer yours. But the way I administer mine, it is one pump, and these pumps are precise measurement. One pump, and then I just rub the gel on. Now, for transmasculine people who want to have a high level of testosterone, you're using 4 or 5 pumps a day, depending on body weight levels, how much you absorb through your skin. I know my skin absorption is a little less. I started my estrogen on patches, but it wasn't going through at all. So that's why I do injections. Anyway, and that's it. My skin's dry. I'm all covered in dry gel, which is absorbing in, and I'm all done. So I'm going to switch the camera one more time to sign off. So that's it. That's my hormone routine, which I go through. Just under a week is the cycle for both of them. And that keeps me who I am, keeps my physical self developing the way it needs to, and keeps my mental health where it needs to be as well. If you are a trans feminine person and you are not on hormones, either because you haven't quite decided yet or because it's really difficult to access them, you're still a trans woman. There is no requirement, no minimum amount of medical or physical transitioning that's required to be trans. But this is my routine. This is what I do. In the comments today, if you'd like to share your experience with hormones or injectable medication or anything else like that, or if you have questions as usual, please. I'm here to answer. Until next time, goodbye.